Sideliners, and welcome back to another episode of Sideline Tea. We're your hosts, Brittany, Jennifer, and Mary, here to spill the tea with a very special guest. Well, let's just let Mina Kimes tell you about him.
There's some good accounts. There's an account I follow who I feel like always posts good stuff.
Who is it? If you don't,
Chris
Kouffman.
Chris Kouffman.
CK.
Yeah.
Posts a lot of very detailed Dolphins takes. I agree with a lot of them. So.
Yeah,
He's good.
He's good. He's really good.
I agree.
We're thrilled to have CK join us, despite his packed schedule between wowing Mina, co-hosting 3 Yards Per Carry podcast with Alf and Simon, managing the OnlyFans Discord channel, and delivering in-depth analysis on Twitter. He's come to sit down and have some tea with us. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and let's spill some tea. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we have CK with 3 Yards Per Carry. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little jealous that I don't have a beverage with me right at this moment, but I'm very happy for those that do.
Do you want to take a time out and go get one?
No, that's okay. I'd better abstain tonight. It's going to be a big week. We got the joint practices and the game later on this week. So
me and Jen, we have ourselves a lovely little beverage. Mary's drinking her water. She is.
And that's mostly what I'm jealous of. Is that class.
Oh yeah. Right here. I'll tag them in this video. But
did you make that sticker?
No. I got it from and it has Mike on the back. They're not even stickers. It's like on the glass. It's not like a.
Well, at least you got it with Mike doing the right pose too. Like that's
yeah.
What do you think of Mike McDaniel's hair?
Yeah, too long. What is he doing with it?
It's definitely
he growing his bangs out.
It's definitely in the middle of something.
I don't think he has bangs.
He does now.
I think that
what is he doing?
It's curled. I think that's what it is. It's like he used to do the suave, but now he's just letting the curls loose.
Yeah, but
this is where everybody. This was where everybody was in about like May of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he looks like. You're right. His roots are going to show soon.
I saw a tweet that somebody said. I think I saw a tweet where he did an interview where I guess his daughter likes it, and until his daughter tells him to change it, he's not changing it.
Oh, really? That's precious. That's pretty precious.
Approved.
Yeah. Nobody's allowed to make fun of it.
I'm well beyond letting my daughter make choices for me in that way. She's 10, and they're not all going to be well-meaning choices.
Oh God, no! You can't let 10-year-olds make the same.
Yeah. My boyfriend will like shave off his beard, and my daughter will flip out. Like, what did you do? Oh my gosh!
I can remember that though, like having my dad like shave a beard or a mustache, and like
he does. He looks like a totally different person.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I feel like I would traumatize her if I did that though.
Has she ever seen you without any facial hair?
No, without beard, no.
Never?
Without beard.
Without beard.
Ex-beard. No, she hasn't. She has seen me with shorter hair, but not without a beard.
Whoa. Yeah, that's gonna be weird. I can attest to that firsthand.
Yeah,
I just had uncles with beards, and then when they went beardless, and I just remember as a kid being like, no.
No.
Well, if you ever do shave your facial hair, please record her reaction because we all want to see it now.
Yeah,
she'll have a good one too. I guarantee.
Oh, they always do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we can start talking about like what we're all here for.
Yeah, which is
let's start off on the Commanders game. So
Tua.
Wow.
Yep, amazing.
You know, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant performance by the quarterback in so many different, like, you know, even little ways, because I was pointing out some things on Twitter is like even just things like the handoff or the the play action, and things like that. Like and this is why this goes back a ways, but Mike McDaniel, before he even got really got started, and we're gonna all speculate about what the combination of McDaniel and Tua is going to be like. And none of us really know. But Mike McDaniel, if you go back to his time in San Francisco, he does a lot of things with misdirection. He does a lot of things with, the manipulation of timing. He does a lot of things, that way, just to try and, fool the defense and keep them on their heels and stuff. And I'm just like, is this the perfect quarterback for him? Because that's what Tua's game is. Like I wonder if he's a good dancer. He's good at choreography, man. Like he is really good with his choreography, his steps, his fakes, his eyes, his body language, stuff like that. He really has it, and he keeps showing it just even in a preseason, like a preseason first preseason game. You couldn't get Dan Marino to give a crap about a play action pass to save his life, right? And then here's Tua Tagovailoa, like he's like a stage magician or something. He really about the
or like a really good actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe he'll be a better pitch man when he's done.
He's a communications major.
Tua toners. He could do it.
He was a communications major, and that was what was funny. Like when he first came in the league, and he was always kind of really awkward with like the cameras and with the microphones and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, you're a comms major. I thought that you'd be a little bit better at this. But he's grown.
He's getting there.
He is.
He really is.
Good now.
Yeah. And all around, like even in the media, like you see him like today, thing I hopped on Twitter like right before I got on here, and that whole thing he did with Levitard, like seriously calling Flores out. I mean, if you asked him a year ago, he would have beat around the bush. He would have been like, like, but he was straight up like, imagine somebody telling you suck, dude. Yeah. Like, so I think in all aspects, especially he got the bag. So he's confident and he knows Miami's his home, but now I feel like it's like level up Tua,
Yeah.
You just hope that like now that he's got the bag, like, you've seen like lots of people get rich and powerful and stuff like that. And then they, it's like their green light to become a-holes. But
he's so grounded
I don't want
with
that
family.
Yeah.
He's got that Samoan heritage and that culture, and he and his wife are still like so private in his familial sense. Did I say that right? Familial? Familial?
Yeah. That's right.
I don't know why I'm asking you guys.
Mary.
Panel of judges here.
Yeah. But yeah.
But I would agree.
Yeah. And I think because he's been so reserved that like he could even go more for me because like let it all out, get it all out. But did you guys also see what he in the media and the after the game, he like threw that question back at Joe, and Joe asked him like, do you think you're going to be a Super Bowl contender? He threw it right back at Joe, and I was like, you do it, Tua. You tell him.
What did he say? I didn't catch that.
It was like Joe.
How many contenders? I think there are going to be 10 contenders. And Tua said, "Yeah, I think there'll be 10 too." And he said, do you think we're going to be one of them or something? He said, well, do you?
Yeah.
He goes, do you think you're going to be one of them?
Turn the entire question back on Joe. And it's like, do you guys think you'll be a contender? He's like, do you think we'll be a contender? Tell me.
And he was like, yeah, I do. And then basically they were like, Tua, do you? And he was like, yeah, like, do you think we'd be here?
Yeah. Isn't that everyone's goal?
We would be contenders.
Exactly,
we wouldn't even be here if we didn't think we were contenders. Like
that's a really good point, because that's what he was trying to get at, is like, if I don't have the mindset that we're contenders, what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
Why are you even asking me that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have asked a better question, Joe, but
yeah, and also
it's still a question. Like, it's still a valid question. But like when I listened to it like several times on the Tua back end of it, I was like, it sounded like he really meant it and was like, yeah, like none of us would. It was even kind of like none of us would make it to this point if we didn't believe we were going to, at some point be contending for something.
He's getting a lot better at the whole say what you mean and mean what you say thing.
Yeah.
It's going from say nothing back in the beginning, say stuff without saying a thing, to now, there's a different, I'm just going to cut down on a lot of that BS. I'm going to mean what I say. And, if it bends a few noses the wrong way, so what?
So what?
Mike Mcdaniel could take notes from that, honestly, because sometimes I'm listening to him, I'm like, Jesus, what is he saying?
That man can talk.
He can trail off. But even Tua was even on Up and Adams, I think they said even his PR was shocked at oh, look at you, Tua. And Mary, you've spent time with Tua, you've talked with Tua. Can you see the differences he's making?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's the comfort level is just tenfold. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
It's great.
And
That's
I saw
really
him fresh
cool.
with the veneers, and I was like,
"Whoa!" Where were you spending time with him? I'm curious.
First in Las Vegas. My husband and I were at his agent's party before the Super Bowl, and then at the Tua Foundation when I went to his foundation, and then I did an event with him for Macy's Perry Ellis, where his new line. So I was the host of it. So I asked him a series of questions. There was a bunch of fans there. He revealed the new veneers, caught me off guard. I asked my mom, and I was like, "Can I ask him?" She's like, "No, do not say anything about his teeth to him." But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, there's but it's tracks with his even football evolution, I feel like.
Yeah.
But then,
exactly. I think that what we're seeing off the field is going to translate on the field. The confidence he's giving off the field will come on the field.
He does try.
I loved I was saying I just love all the highlights of Tua, and then you start and you get the picture of Liam Eichenberg on the floor. And then it's
and way to bring us right back into.
I know, but then I get so excited, and then you see everybody showing the plays of him totally fumbling the bag, and you're like, damn.
But this is Tua. He's been trying to say this in a lot of different ways and a lot of different times since he even came into the league. He's who I am off the field and all of that stuff that's going on, and who I am on the field are actually very tied together. And so this is one of the reasons it's oh, why do you get that contract done? Why do you get that contract? It's so he's not thinking about it, because this is a guy who, if he is thinking about that sort of thing, it might affect his field play. I don't know that he can really celebrate. He always kind of tries to say that, it's not like I can separate. It's not like I can separate, who I am into different slices and stuff like that. So, that's him. You see that confidence off the field. I mean, that just means all the better of what you're going to get in September.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that too helps, especially knowing what we know now, what he revealed on the Le Batard show, knowing that Mike McDaniel went to Stephen Ross and went to bat for Tua. I think that spoke volumes, and Tua really is okay, this coach really is here for me, and he really believes in me,
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we brought up Liam Eichenberg, do you guys want to talk about the offense?
What I just am confused about, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like every time I listen to 560 or every time I'm on Twitter, it's we have an abundance of defensive players, especially in the secondary. And it's so nice to have that right? Do we not? We have
good time.
We have a good amount to the point where it's okay, who's going to make the 53? Who's going to who they're going to keep? But I feel like when you look at the offensive line, it's we don't have, why don't we have that problem with our offensive line? Why are we just okay with
I think because just in terms of numbers or extra people, I think nobody does right now. Like there's like a shortage of decent offensive linemen, and you can't just go like where if we needed a different cornerback, there are cornerback like people have good like dudes who would just like if we cut one of them, like somebody's going to pick them up tomorrow, you know.
Octavian.
It will happen, you know. That just doesn't exist with offensive linemen. Just the numbers just aren't there.
But
that said, it's a problem of our own creation. But
I think you bring up a fair point, though, which is that nobody has an abundance of offensive linemen, and it kind of it draws on like the coaching and the way the game has evolved in college and has changed to where offensive linemen aren't really coming into the league very good, very prepared anymore. And so it actually, in their defense, if you're facing a situation where the guys that are coming into the league from college are not as prepared anymore and you can't really count on them that much, then it makes you say, well, why don't I try and cheat the system by signing all these guys off of second contracts after you've already done the work of trying to teach the guys the fundamentals? Some other team, say we get Jack Driscoll from Philadelphia, one of the top offensive line coaches in the league up there in Philadelphia. And so, why don't I take a guy that's already been taught somewhere else, but maybe he didn't have a very good impact on his rookie deal, because rookies aren't coming in, college players aren't coming in very well paired anymore. And I'll just keep rolling the dice on those second contracts and get guys. And that's how you get a Connor Williams, who was definitely outplayed his contract.
But he was,
He outplayed his contract though, certainly. Or, coming out of Dallas, he was a guy that was benched. Like he was a guy that was benched for play in Dallas at a guard position. And so Miami is like, hey, we're going to take you and put you where we think you belong the entire time at center. And
he did fabulous.
And he did fabulous. Yeah. But then there was an injury and there was all other things going on there. But the same idea with Aaron Brewer, the same idea with Jack Driscoll, things like that. But then I think there are certain offensive line positions they know you can't get away with that. And I think that the left tackle is one of them. And so that's why you invest in a Patrick Paul, knowing that it's not going to look good right away. Hopefully it looks good a little bit down the road. But I'm with the frustration on the offensive line. We've been, tearing our hair out over it for a long time.
And it's no surprise that the teams you mentioned about us getting cast-offs from are ones that traditionally kill at drafting offensive linemen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they coach well, they teach it well, and they, they do well. And, I'm not trying to excuse Greer, because I think his draft picks along the offensive line are not always that great. And I think that just the total management borders on mismanagement more than anything. So, I'm not trying to excuse them, but it's like, why?
But you make a good point about just like the, temperature of the league moving towards doing one thing versus another.
Yeah. So, and also the other thing is that they probably just think, hey,
drafting.
we only need. I heard I forget if it was Chris Furster, who's out in San Francisco and is one of the guys that taught Mike McDaniel all about offensive line. And about
that's correct.
I think he said something along the lines of, you really only need the offensive line talent to be above a certain level. Like if it's below that, then you're really, really in trouble. But if you're above it, then the rest of it is just scheme and
do you think we're below it or above it?
Injuries put them below it consistently, and I think that's one of the problems where Chris Greer runs himself back. He paints himself into a corner. We have
season hasn't even started.
Yeah, we've too many baked in injuries. Toronto,
and maybe that's why some of those people were available. To your point of why we take them from other people.
Teron Armstead is a baked-in injury, right? Like, you know about that. Isaiah Wynn has never stayed healthy his entire career. That's a baked-in injury. Yeah. And so,
no, trust me, I'm on your side about this.
Yeah. And so, like, you bring in the injury prone players, and then on top of that, you suffer some bad luck. Everybody suffers bad luck with like a Robert Hunt or something like that. Like, now he's missing games, and he used to be, you couldn't hurt him with an axe, like, and so I think that a little bit of bad luck, but once you've already baked that in, that's when it ends up coming out looking egregious.
That was my whole point. I didn't call it baked in, but I was just like, you have ones that you already have to assume for. Like, you knew going in this past season, you didn't have 5, you had 2.5. And then the ones that, and then you didn't address it. And then the 2.5 that you thought you had got hurt, because that's a cost of doing goods of playing football. And you're going to get injuries. And it just happened to hurt you in a place where it typically hadn't. I mean, it did it in a unit perspective, but not in the pieces of it. So then you had baked in on top of unexpected, and it just cooked you.
I think you're right. I think it's a good point.
And I'm going to keep talking about it and yelling about it until I'm blue in the face.
And Chris Greer is going to keep laughing about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
He can,
all these guys
that's fine, but
this year. All these like sort of center wrestling dudes.
Well, on the plus
side, whatever.
On the plus side, if we're talking about the way this offensive line looked in the game, back to the Commanders game,
sorry.
I do think that Jack Driscoll looked okay again. I don't know if you're trying to hit a home run there, but it's certainly.
But that's fine.
Yeah,
speaks to the philosophy, right?
And I will say this, for an undrafted free agent, Andrew Meyer is. Again, we're not talking about home runs. We're talking about singles and doubles, right? And Andrew Meyer is a guy that you easily forget about on the field, which can be good, right?
Is this UTEP?
Yeah, he's a UTEP. He's a minor. And because like Liam Eichenberg, it's hard to forget about him because he ends up on the ground like 40% of the time. And
he really sticks out.
Seriously, I'm not even kidding. That first drive was only like 11 snaps or something, right? I think, and that first drive, and I'm pretty sure I counted him on the ground like 4 times.
Every single highlight.
Yeah.
The one that you posted, it looked as if like the way my toddler will push me out of the way, and he fell to the ground. Like,
yep.
I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a defensive lineman, but you shouldn't fall like that easily. I don't know.
Well, it's not safe because it leads to injuries for him, and it leads to injuries for other players too.
And did you see Mostert was trying to go, and there's Liam's whole lower body in the way
body.
That Mostert's like, well, can't go through that.
I think he knows, and I always try and keep aware of these because the coaches obviously know way more than any of us, right? And we always have to keep in mind, there's a lot of space between the things that we know, and so that space between that's the stuff they know, and so I always try to give them credit, and I always, as a general rule, will be like, I will try to figure out why you did do what you did, or why you did make the decision that you did, because I'm going to assume you had a good reason for it. I don't think they just go out there and just don't know what they're doing or have no good reason and stuff like that. So I think that, with Liam Eichenberg and being the backup center taking over for Aaron Brewer right now, it's probably has to do with protecting that center quarterback exchange, protecting the integrity of like the line calls and the protections that he's going to be calling. He is, a veteran at this point. He's seen a lot of things. He's seen and failed at a lot. So I think that
a lot.
I feel like
outlived a lot.
I literally try to, if you're wearing our jersey, I love you and I support you. I have such a hard time getting on board with him, and I do say nice things that, he is reliable and he will suit up and he's there. But geez, we have the Bills week 2. this was the game I was like, we're finally going to win. Like, we're going to get him early in the season at home. We can do this. Like, we have our roster. We can do it. And now we have Liam at center. And did you guys see Liam when last time we played Bills, how his performance was? Like, not great at all. And
not great,
shit.
Bob.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah, that's gonna be a roller coaster. I'm just hoping Aaron Brewer might be back sooner than we think. Maybe. I mean, all we know.
Not even week 1, and here we are.
I know, right?
Hold on. Pause. My daughter just walked into the office. Okay. What were we saying though?
Hilarious.
I was going to talk a little bit more about other offensive linemen if you want, in the Commanders game.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. So I think that when you go across the line a little bit, Robert Jones looks a little bit better. That's like a nice, kind of bright point, if you will. Austin Jackson, I think, looks about the same. I don't think there's and among the backups, like I said before, Andrew Meyer just is kind of one of those guys that's easy to forget because he's not doing anything poorly out there, which we need more of, and that's totally fine. And so I think Lester Cotton, when you finally get him out of the lineup, which to me is even I don't like him. I like him even less than Liam Eichenberg. And so when you get him out of the lineup and you get Teron Armstead back and Kendall Lamb, he can do things even in place of Teron Armstead. There's some limitations there, but I think that overall there's hope if you've got the starters in, and I'm not even counting Isaiah Wynn anymore, right? Because
that's basically what Cam told us last week. Is consider it a luxury if we see him.
I think that's a good point. Then he's right.
Bummed, heartbroken, actually.
Well, on that, since we've depressed everybody,
so there's that.
Let's talk about something happy then. Who are you giving the game ball to?
Oh boy.
Well, are you doing offensive and defensive or just
do you want to do offense and defense or do you want to do a game ball?
Oh no, do whatever.
No, I'm asking CK what he wants.
Yeah,
do you want do you want offense and defense?
I'll just do overall game because it's preseason, but I think that I hate to cop out like this, but if you look at the absolute best performer of the game, from everybody was definitely Tua, and that's a problem because of course he's the richest man on the team. He's
okay, so game ball minus Tua. Well, can't give the game ball to Tua. Who are you going?
If I had to give somebody, I think that what Devon Achane showed in the reps that he got out there, particularly as he gets more involved in the passing game, which is his task, and there's something to be said for doing your task. I think that was probably the biggest. I mean, game ball to me, it gets a little bit hazy, but it's like this is the biggest impact development on the team is what he showed out there, because we do have a good running back room, but we don't have a lot of depth at the receiver the receiver position, right? And River Craycraft would have been the game ball guy, except maybe I shouldn't hold this against him, but he got hurt, and he hasn't had a history of not being hurt, and unfortunately, but he showed well. But I think the biggest impact is going to be what Achane showed, because they're going to have to use him in all these different ways, and so that's going to have the highest impact. Otherwise, I think that Marcus May had a good game on defense. Obviously, Mo Camara had some nice moments, and so
Channing Tindall did too.
Channing Tindall did as well, and not just in a blitz capacity, which is nice for him. I think the defensive linemen continue to show well overall. overall, I think. And
we got to see Chop.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Chop is so quick. And actually on that first, I don't think it was the first drive, but it was a drive where he got kind of called out publicly on the run defense. It was actually kind of interesting to see what the Commanders were doing to him on that drive, because he was going unblocked, and so he'd have to reduce down and crash in to try and meet like a puller in the hole and try and condense the space for the running back. And he was getting called out for not doing that well enough, and they did that to him like 3 times. And on the third time, he did it so well that the running back just bounced outside of him. And it was like, well, what do you want? You either want him to stay disciplined and kind of come in and condense the space, or if he's going to try and make the play, then the guy's going to bounce out of side of him, and the linebacker better be ready to spill, better be ready to come out to the outside. And really what I felt was going on that drive more than anything, and really on a couple of drives, and this is where the Dolphins have got to tighten up on defense right now the most, in my opinion, is Jordan Brooks and David Long are not playing well together. In my opinion, they are not tied to a string with each other. They're not showing a good amount of chemistry with one another. I'm not liking the run fits between those two. And this is a defense where those two will need to be buttoned up. The linebackers, there's a lot on them to be buttoned up. And so, no overreactions here. We're talking about preseason, and their new defense and everything like that. I'm just saying right now, they're not there. And actually, I thought that was a bigger problem than what we were seeing from Chop Robinson or any of the other defensive linemen.
So, what would be your suggestion?
Well, I think they should go out to dinner.
Reps.
Yeah.
They need to
it really
reps playing.
It really is reps, because last year, if you think about David Long, he just got here, and first season Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio asked certain things of his linebackers. He wasn't getting it to the point where Fangio kept trying to put Andrew Van Ginkel out there as a ball linebacker in his place, and so there's eventually that came along, and then David Long played the way that we know he can, with a lot of force and a lot of and he can make big plays. So it really is just one of those cross your fingers and wait for it thing. I hate that, but what else are you gonna do?
I'm with Mary though. They need to go out to dinner.
Yeah, they need to build the chemistry.
Well, all these things play into that, right? Reps, dinner.
Yeah, get to know each other.
And also, I think when Anthony Walker comes back, that could help a little bit, because there are certain situations where you're going to have the 3 linebackers out there, and Walker is a more natural Mike linebacker.
Yeah.
So that'll help a little bit.
What improvements did you see from first game to this game?
I think that
quarterback play.
Oh,
JK, I'm just saying.
God, what are we going to do about that? Can we talk about that for a second? What are we doing?
Yeah, we can. I don't know. I get the sense that based on, I wasn't at any of the practices, so get that out of the way. There are a lot of observations that people have had about those two, Skylar and Mike, against one another in the practices. All I can go of is off of the games, right?
And you see that, and CK, you see that, and everyone at practice is saying, "Oh, Skylar's beating Mike right now." But then you go to the game, and I think Mike is beating Skylar.
100%, and I think that that's a problem, obviously. But I do think that Mike White, while he doesn't show great pocket, feel presence all the time, he's running the offense, and he's getting the ball in places where guys can try and make a play off of it. That's not always true of Skylar Thompson, and that's it's now we're going on year 3 here with Skylar. I was looking for him to make a bigger jump, and just haven't seen it yet. And maybe it's just preseason, and forget about it, that kind of thing. But I'm curious how that's going to shake out, and I'd be keeping Ryan Tannehill on speed dial right now.
Do you think Tannehill, with the way our offensive line is, you think Tannehill would do well?
Yeah, that's a good. You bring up the fairest point about that idea, which is that Tannehill not known for handling, that
zero
chaos, and I think that's right. But at the same time, Tannehill can kind of mechanically get the ball out quickly the way you want it to come out quickly. If he's not asked to really feel the rush a lot, and be a little bit more dialed in with the pre-snaps reads and things like that, he can actually execute that. What he can't do is drop it into the soft spots of the zones the way that Tua does. Get the ball up and then down. And
and so much of
so
offense relies on that.
But another thing that he can do is that he can execute the play action rollout game, and he can execute moving pockets and things like that. So it's good and bad. You're not going to get the new $53 million man or whatever he is Tua, but you're looking for somebody that can just, if you're missing 5 games of Tua, you're not going to go 1-4.
Right.
And that's what you hope. Right. With Mike White and Skylar Thompson right now, as things stand, I mean, I'm just like, I'm handicapping the game, and Tua's out, I'm probably handicapping a loss, right? I mean, that's would.
I think
yes. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so, I'm not confident in this team without Tua.
Yeah, and so I mean, that's what you ultimately. Well, could we pencil in a little bit better, analysis or projection if we get Tannehill in there, and you kind of know what he's good at. You have a lot of film of Tannehill's career to resort to look back on and say, and as a coach being like, oh, I can call this for him, right? Because he's got so much film in his whole career that you can go back to.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you can say that about the other guys.
Could you imagine Tannehill coming back here, though, like just for funsies? Imagine Tannehill coming back here as a backup quarterback to our franchise quarterback. Like,
sometimes
I don't know if the ego would enjoy that too much.
I mean, unless Minnesota, with the injury that they had with JJ McCarthy, unless they are interested in him. Hey, if you need a job, you need a job.
Right.
So our wide receiver room, can we talk about that?
You could bring him in for that too.
Oh, sorry, Jen.
Tannehill.
He used to play wide receiver in college.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, so
didn't know that.
Just we love players
Nobody knew that until I brought it up just now.
I had no idea. I really did not know. Our wide receiver room, can we talk about that?
You could bring him in for that too.
Oh, sorry, Jen.
Tannehill.
He used to play wide receiver in college.
I'm the one who said bring him in as a wide receiver. What are you talking about?
I thought you were still talking about something else. I thought I interrupted you, and you're.
Hello.
I had no idea. Learn something new every day. Look at that. So, what are you worried about our wide receiver room?
I am, because I think that they're going to have to rely on Malik Washington as a rookie at some point, just the way the injuries are going, and that I'm not convinced yet he's really ready from the standpoint of making an impact in the passing game. I think that the interesting thing that he's doing is he's blocking really well, and that's the way to Mike McDaniel's heart. And and so there will be like last year 20% of the time they didn't have Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle on the field 20% of the snaps, and one of those guys was available for every single game, right? So at least one of those, most of the time both of them were available. But Mike McDaniel will call plays and will say, no, you two come out, we're going to put in River Craycraft and Cedric Wilson. And it's like, why? Oh, it's because it's 80% running, when we put those guys out on the field. And yet the defense can't stop it. They're still allowing 5 yards a carry, even when we do that. And I think that Malik Washington, he's already you notice the way he's being used as a blocker. He's being lined up tight to the formation. He'll end up blocking a linebacker. He'll end up, chipping in even on a defensive end, a big ugly or something like that. And so, the way that he's being used is screaming to you, hey, we're going to trust this guy as a blocker because he's very tough.
Yeah.
And so that'll get him on the field in some ways. I don't know if he'll be able to contribute in the passing game, but he's a rookie and he's going to come along. River Craycraft, I would say otherwise, great. He's great rotation dude. If this is your wide receiver 4, that's awesome. This is cool. Wait, he's never, he's
that's who I would put at my 4. If OBJ is, although we
but I don't have any faith in
OBJ
in
the system, so like it's really hard to say River is behind
studying
him. You know what I mean?
He's never taken snaps with Tua.
Right. What I'm saying is he studying the playbook? Because we saw when Claypool went in, he had no idea what the hell he was doing. Like,
but
you
that's
think a guy
like
OBJ is studying?
I think he tweeted he like quote tweeted Keith, like the being from like a trolley standpoint, whatever, and basically said like, I know what I'm doing. Sit down.
Also, he's played in a similar offense before, so like this isn't brand new to him. He played for the Rams, so he knows that he's not like a fresh or a rookie or whatever.
Yeah,
but still,
he's been around so many systems too. Like,
right.
seen a lot of concepts.
But he knows how to learn by now.
Yeah. I just think Rivers doing really, really well. And even though he's injured right now, had he not been injured, I would have a hard time at this point right now, because I haven't seen OBJ into a connect and I haven't seen any of that. I would have a hard time fighting for wide receiver 3 right now between the two of them.
McDaniel, I think
River wasn't
McDaniel he'd want River over OBJ right now anyway. He trusts River. He knows he can play any position. He knows how to, like, McDaniel's system. He blocks really well. He certainly has a connection with Tua. Like, he's been reliable. I don't think there's any. I'm not saying that it wouldn't change, but right now I think he's absolutely like in pen above OBJ if they were to just walk on the field tomorrow had this injury not happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound sorry. I don't want to sound alarms, like in terms of like, scaring people and stuff like that.
I don't think it's happening.
But I'm just thinking that as we go on with OBJ, I'm getting the feeling that they really had something in mind here with the entire offense, with 3 wide receivers and what they could do with Odell Beckham as the 3rd wide receiver, and the interchangeableness of all 3 of those wide receivers, and what the things that allows them to do from a tempo standpoint, the things that allows them to do, if we think back to like Sean McVay's offense, where he always had the same 3 wide receivers out there basically every single play, and they were all interchangeable, could all go and do a lot of things. I think that they had some things in mind, and they've got to start being antsy now about the fact that Odell Beckham can't go out there practice, can't go out there look good. Even the video clips, I hope he was wearing a weighted vest in that video clip that I saw on Twitter the other day.
It looked like a baby giraffe.
It looked awful, right? I mean, that, and I don't try and exaggerate when I say that.
No, I know. It just was weird. It just
it was very weird. And,
what are you guys talking about?
There was a video clip of Odell Beckham, like, kind of running a route on and the side.
I don't think I've seen that.
Training camp.
Don't.
It was bad.
No, don't. I mean, it's just, I hope somebody pointed out he might have been wearing a weighted vest, and I hope so. But otherwise,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, I'm starting to really get antsy here in that he's disappointing us in a way that they were not planning to be disappointed. And that would scare.
Do you think River was like then who they were going to plug and play into that because he could play all 3 positions too? Knows the playbook, good blocker, sure hands, big, strong.
Now it sucks to be surprised in a way that you didn't plan to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's the nervousness that I'm getting personally right now, is because I'm even looking at, and just through the first 2 games of preseason, they've been 70-30 in 11 personnel and 3 wide receiver personnel. And that's a lot higher than they usually have been in preseasons in the past. And so, in the past 2 seasons, they've only used 11 personnel, like the 3 wide receiver, about like 45% of the time during the season. And it's not a dominant personnel group like it is for most other teams in the league. But I think that they were planning on juicing that up a little bit this year, and now it's like, well, wait a minute, can we? And thankfully they've had
we're switching to 12.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. We have a huge tight end room, so
we roll.
And they're still going to rely heavily on 21 personnel, because of Alec Ingold, and they never run 21 personnel in preseason. All three preseasons, I think they've run it a total of like 9 times in 21 personnel. They've been out in that personnel grouping in preseason. It's not one they break out in the preseason. They're not showing any of their of that playbook. So I'm not worried about that. But I am worried that they're like so heavily 11 personnel through the first 2 games that I'm like, are you getting, were you not planning for this? And now you're like, and so that brings that brings Malik Washington into the future, right? Like that brings into the frame. Like, oh, we're gonna have to rely on you now, and it's like that's a lot. That's asking a lot of a young rookie who was exclusively a slot player in college. That was exclusively, right? But we're not asking you to be exclusively a slot player all of a sudden. We're asking you to play, different positions, play on the outside some, playing, stuff like that. And, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So a question though, because the first game, we could have said, Easy Eric Ezekieluka. Did I say that right? I always butcher it.
Ezekieluka.
Mm-hmm. We could have said, you might be on the chopping block, but like last game he said bet, and he looked pretty darn good. So what do you think about that?
It's the old, my mom used to say it when I was growing up, when God closes a door, he opens a window. and so like, Easy E comes in all of a sudden in this game on the same day that River, catches a beautiful touchdown and immediately just like pieces out for half the season or whatever he's going to miss. I don't know. That's not news. I have no idea what he's going to miss.
No, I know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Have they said anything about him?
He's week to week. That's what Mike said. But then somebody else said like it was
significant upper body injury.
Week to week wasn't the word. He said significant upper body injury.
And he also
not season ending. He said not season ending.
Exactly.
Yes, he said
wait, upper body. Because I saw the play and I was like, oh, that's a lot of weight went down on his like ankle leg area.
And he's always had shoulder or whatever or something. I think he had something. So they said significant upper body, not season ending. That is not week to week.
Listen, if he comes back Thanksgiving, good.
Yeah, you'll be glad for the help.
Crop of people that are coming in at the end of the season ready to go, that would be amazing. Honestly.
Yeah.
You're right.
You could stash them, switch.
Okay, so back to the Easy E question. Like, do we like him? Is he still on the chopping block?
He's going to be the 5th receiver, provided that Craycraft is going to start out on some reserve list, probably, and just based on Mike McDaniel's words. I mean, I'm just kind of reading between the lines on that.
Who said it?
And
who told it?
Who
I
told
swear
what?
somebody on Twitter's like they said it was week to week.
They might have, and
no, they could have been wrong, but
yeah, unfortunately, week to week could mean like 8 weeks, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's actually true then.
Yeah.
Week to week is week to week.
Yeah.
But
so
he uses his things like day to day means like maybe this week, maybe next week. He uses day to day for that, but week to week is typically like, yeah, we're out.
We'll talk to you next.
We'll catch up like once a week. See how you're
Ask
doing.
us next week. Ask us next week and see if there's an update.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be the 5th guy right now with River out.
And then he does give you the big bodied receiver, different body type, you know, strong. And he's flashed in preseasons before. It was always just a question of, you know, staying healthy and on the field. But he was always been a kind of a, I think, fan favorite little, like we were always in preseason rooting for him, and then something would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That remember that first preseason, it was what he did. Right.
It was fun.
And it was great. Fun. And in college, you know, if you look at what he used to be, what he was so good at in college, that run after catch for that guy is incredible. And it's a certain kind of run after catch. He's a very physical, powerful, you know, run after catch guy. And so if he can get to what that is and not be, you know, you brought up Claypool, Mary, I think, and you were saying, you know, hey, is this guy going to know the playbook? Is he gonna have that high screw up factor? You know, then that's what you really worry about, because Easy has great physicality after the catch, and we've seen him be able to run and run his routes and catch the football. But if he's a screw up guy, then you're only going to have so much appetite for that on the field. So I guess he certainly has the opportunity. Like, he's now back up off the ropes.
And he's been here long enough to know the playbook. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now that he's finally healthy, to like have a chance to like set himself apart by being a totally different body type, whatever, you know, and strong, big, and knows the playbook for years.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did your earbuds die?
I think your earbuds died.
I'm going to type it in the chat.
I'm going to try to adjust my thing.
Do y'all hear my daughter? She's like partying outside my door. Do you guys hear her?
Every now and then
I hear her.
Yeah.
Oops.
She just go, oops.
She did. She said, oops. Week 1. At home, opening night. It's a night game, right? It's day game.
Battle of the big money quarterback.
Hot.
Yeah. I should listen to it. All right, what did you say? The Heat. Yep, we got the sun.
There's the sun going in our favor, but also this is the battle of the big money quarterbacks. And based on what we've seen from Mike McDaniel and the kinds of things he cooks up in the offseason and then rolls out in week 1, I don't see virtually anybody stopping us in week 1.
All righty, got that for a win. Week 2.
Is this
Thursday Night Football?
Yeah.
This is at
like
home.
A 4-day turnaround right after.
Yeah, night game. Buffalo refuses to play us in the sun again.
You know what? There's some okay. I hate to be like, you know, Pollyanna over here, but like, because I know that some of our problems in the Dolphins are early season as far as injury concerns go, and some of the guys that are out right now. I do think the Dolphins tend to be very strong early in the season under Mike McDaniel for a lot of schematic reasons. And the Bills, I think that they're going to be going through some transition on offense, and so it might not work as well early in the season, and especially might not work out very well on a short week with less preparation. So I will go with a 2-0 start for the Miami Dolphins.
2-0. Okay, we can do that. Much better than last week's prediction.
All right. Then. All right, so week 5 at Seattle. Long flight.
I hate West Coast trips. Absolutely hate them. I think that this is a loss. They're a fairly good team. They've got a lot of good talent. I never really penciled this one in for the Dolphins. And until it's games like this that they'll start to exercise the demons about being bad on the road, right? And until we see it, then no.
Right.
Revenge game.
Monday Night Football.
At home against the Titans, I truly do believe that this is revenge for that final 5 minutes or whatever it was. I think that this
what
is
a terrible drive home.
Yeah.
And Will Levis, if you get him really amped up, you don't want to get him really amped up, but I think being on the road is less of a chance of him kind of getting really into it and into a rhythm and getting all fiery and everything like that. And so I think that I like our chances for this one. So yes, win.
Yeah.
So we're 3-1 right now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's clock it.
If we lose to the Patriots this season, either time,
it's like a fluke. It's like when didn't the Chiefs lose to the Broncos last year, and it was like.
But so did the Bills. The Bills lost to the Broncos too.
Right, but like that could easily happen here.
The Patriots.
Yeah,
they sure did, and the
Jets.
Yep.
I don't think this is like I don't think this is like when we always used to steal a game from Tom Brady that we had no right to. Like this isn't quite like that with the Patriots. I think that Tua generally has beaten the Patriots every single time that he's played. He's undefeated against them, and I don't see that changing now. Not the way that they're depleted.
Can we take a moment to just say real quick how Tom Brady said that the toughest team he's ever played was the Miami Dolphins? Thank you very much.
His worst games were always against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins.
Wasn't he talking to Peyton Manning when he said that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Eli. Yep. Peyton was like, yes.
Yeah,
that was
agreed.
when Zach Thomas was there. And
I think that was a hard agree for Peyton, right?
It was. Yep.
He's the guy that always like talks up Zach Thomas so much that he's like, this is the toughest player I ever played against because he just calls our plays constantly.
Yeah. Legend.
At the Colts,
mm-hmm.
this is one for me anyway. That's ripe for an upset. This is where it's like an upset, meaning that the Dolphins lose, and a lot of people are going to be penciling us in to win that game.
I just penciled in.
Yeah, I mean, I would naturally, but I do think that at some point the Dolphins are going to drop one that
we should have won.
Yeah, opens up some eyes and sort of because at this point, keep in mind, I've got them basically winning every game to start out except for the Seahawks game, right?
Yeah.
So imagine what the headlines and imagine what the articles are going to be like with the 5-1 Dolphins traveling up to the Indianapolis Colts. And again, I say this that the Dolphins are going to have to show that they can go on the road and play the same way. And to that point in the season, they will not have been truly tested that way, except for that Seahawks game, which I have them losing, and then the Patriots game, which unfortunately they just traded Matthew Judon. Jennifer, I know you were upset about that.
I was,
but
she was very emotional.
I don't think the Dolphins will have proven anything on the road at that point.
Yeah, and they just got what's his face from the Broncos.
Simmons.
Justin Simmons. Yeah.
I mean, good for them.
But that's the Falcons.
Yeah. I mean, what do they matter really? But yeah, big Matthew Judon fan. I mean, a tough defensive player.
What
right.
do they matter anyway? That's harsh. I especially like when I'm picking these games, I do believe in sort of a kind of a path dependency. So, what you did last week actually matters a lot of what's going to happen this week. And so if the Dolphins are coming off that, kind of that shocking loss on the road to the Colts, then I think they come back and beat up on somebody. This is them.
This is true.
Yeah.
Not until you prove it. I'm sorry, but not until they prove it.
Of the doubt, yeah.
Yeah, not until the Dolphins prove that one.
That's fair.
And this is the point in the season where sometimes we start to your early momentum is not translating as well, and maybe some people have caught up to some of your fancy tricks and things like that. This is another one of those games.
Back-to-back losses is going to hurt.
It would, and it should. But that's what I would have them doing on that game.
Week 11.
Eleanor.
Do you guys hear her?
I heard her. She's singing?
Yeah. I have to mute myself.
That's too cute. Do we allow Gardner Minshew to beat us at home?
Absolutely not. And we don't allow Christian Wilkins to be stealing anybody's towels either.
Boy, he could have like as the most revenge game ever, and I still don't.
Loves us. He loves us. He wouldn't.
And
do
they
that.
still won't win.
And
but they still won't win. That's fair.
Still win, yeah.
That's a fair split. Yeah.
I just hope he's like, be easy on us, Christian. All right, like we have a very questionable offensive line. Don't you dare.
That you know how to deal with.
Yeah, don't you dare.
Plus Max Crosby, yeah. Because they didn't last year.
Who was it that black?
They didn't have an easy time with the Raiders at home last year.
Right. Who was
when
it?
They sucked.
Who was it? Was it Austin? Who was it that surprised us and held back Max Crosby all game? Who was it?
That was Austin Jackson.
It was Austin Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. And they remember that this is the first time that we heard Quentin Bell's name really in Hard Knocks, because he was the guy that had to play the role of Max Crosby in
practice,
from the scout team.
Yeah.
And Mike McDaniel was crazy.
Was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. That's cool.
I did not know that.
Yep. Cool. And then he showed up the next week in Hard Knocks with the equivalent, the in-season equivalent of the orange jersey. It's not really orange. It's like this camo thing.
That's cool.
So he showed up with that, and that was like our first real glimpse of who is now looking like he could be a starter, depending on what the injuries happen. He is playing really well, by the way.
Well, good for him. That's a good story. Love it.
So, but either way, we beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yep. We beat
still undefeated.
Yeah,
undefeated.
I don't see us losing to the Patriots this year. Just my opinion. That's a tough one. I think that this is a game that you probably should lose.
I agree,
because they're a young team that's gotten hot, and so
it's freezing cold in Lambeau.
It's the wrong time of the year. It's it's a good opponent up there, and they're they've also got a nice quarterback. I mean, it's just
and it's like it's Jordan Love and Tua, and Mary actually
good teams lose this game too.
Yeah.
Mary talked to Jordan in Italy, and he said, "I will see you
there." Yep. Ran into him on the beach of all places.
During the Super Bowl in Miami, I was interviewing one of the guys on the Chiefs, and he played with Jordan Love at Utah State, and he's now obviously he's with the Chiefs. He's in the Super Bowl. He's played with Patrick Mahomes, and so we're talking about Jordan Love, who was coming out that year, and I'd been a big Jordan Love fan already, and so we're talking about him, and he's like, yeah, he really does remind me. he was talking about Patrick Mahomes, and he's like, yeah, Jordan and Patrick really do kind of remind me of one another, from back in when he was at Utah State.
Week 14.
Week 14. I'm glad that
First time we see the Jets.
First of all,
exactly.
do you think Aaron Rodgers makes it to week 14? Yes or no?
No, I don't. And I think that's the good question to ask there, because behind that offensive line, even though they've shuffled it around and added some pieces to it, I don't see it yet. I think that there has to be a really cohesiveness between offensive line, scheme, and quarterback in order to avoid the sort of hits that are really going to be trouble. And I haven't had any indication whatsoever that the Jets have that yet. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't played well in a couple of years now. And that's the team that is on the verge of self-destruction, probably the most of anybody else, just coming apart at the seams. And that's just in terms of personalities and
no, it's in their DNA.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, they don't exactly have a
it's in the Jersey water.
Sometimes you can't. Yeah. Sometimes you can't.
I think at this point they could have blown up at this point already, and that's where I think they could come out with a victory.
This team is dangerous.
I feel like this game is above my pay grade. Like
I feel like
I don't know.
Are going to win.
Yeah, I put this down as a loss for us.
I mean, I feel like it should be.
If it was at home, different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
it could
giving
be.
it to that, right?
I'm just kind of thinking that, at this point in the year, it could be, if somebody's driving the Dolphins players absolutely nuts about they can't play on the road. You guys suck on the road. And I do have them losing some of these road games, right? And they just lost that Green Bay game on the road, or they might have dropped the LA Rams game on the road.
There's going to be something that goes wrong there, but you're right. There could be like a spark of.
There's always something that goes wrong.
When they get there, they're going to get their.
Spark, if somebody's driving them up a wall that they can't perform on the road, then I could see them getting their backs up for this game and actually managing it and doing it. So
let's keep banging it, saying you can't do it, because
I'm gonna say win on that one. I'll be the home guy, the only guy.
All right, no, we've had people say this is a win.
No, I mean like in the previous game.
You meant Houston?
All right, this game he's putting a win down for this one. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited for this one.
This should absolutely be a win. I think this game should be. You got a west to east travel team. Both teams have problems with injuries. Both of them.
Right.
Under Shanahan, the 49ers have always had trouble staying healthy. And whether this is going to be one of the years that they stay healthy or one of the years that they don't stay healthy is almost a coin flip with the San Francisco 49ers. I think they did it last year, so they're not going to do it this year. So I'm going to say win. I'm going to say victory for the Dolphins in Week 16 against them, because I think by this point in the year they're going to have some significant injuries.
And they may not even have Ayuk either.
I'm not the right guest to have on the show for that, though, right?
Right.
You got to have to predict Ayuk if he's. You got to have pretty.
Hello, sir. We said.
Wait, pause. Time out. But Week 17, Browns. This team is this defense is, and it's there. It's away.
Man, that is a really.
Mary,
okay.
He
Okay, so on to the topic. I think that up in Cleveland, I do worry about that tough defense in their own home stadium at that time of the year, and at some point, Deshaun Watson's going to probably play well, maybe. So I do worry about this game, but this is a general theme of mine. Like on the road, I do see struggles on the road. So this is a prime example of that kind of tough road environment.
And not just like not just like cold and on the road, but a tough team.
Yeah.
Like this smack you in the mouth team.
Yeah.
And that's where you brought
No, go ahead, TK.
You brought this up about the Raiders and how they played us tough before, and that's it's a really tough defense. And when has Miami folded so far until they can exercise the demons? They've folded when presented with a really tough defense, particularly on the road.
Yeah.
And what is
on the road? Yeah.
Yeah. And what is Cleveland if not that?
But we've also
like
had the Patriots. I know that they were awful, but they had a really good defense, and the Jets also a very good defense.
Neither of them were supported in any way by the offense, though.
Right.
Like,
right. It was a tough defense.
And last season, honestly, the first game that we played up in New England, it wasn't like we just rolled over them by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, it was. And I was there, and it felt like the momentum was literally always on Miami's side. No, it did. Even in Foxborough, like people were just like screaming McCorkle behind me, like giving them shit. But towards the end, it did get a little dicey, you know. And they were clearly the superior team. Miami was that by no doubt. But again, same thing with playing the Raiders last year at home, just like it shouldn't have been that close. Just like the first week against the Jets in New York, like if it wasn't for the defense going into halftime, we'd be losing.
I think a defense that is not supported in some way by the offense.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
In any way by the offense it's only a matter of time before you get through the game and the dam kind of breaks open on the defense.
Agreed.
So that's I think that Cleveland, they have enough support. They have enough support that I think they could get by.
And I just feel like they're the last team that needed to add Mike Vrabel. Like they didn't need to be any tougher. Like, and they just got Vrabel, who was like, I ate dog bones. Because what kid in like northeastern Ohio didn't freaking eat dog bones and call themselves the Browns, man? Like, that's just not like, we don't need to add that to the Browns.
It's a very strange thing to brag about.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's just being a dog.
Yeah, he is that though. No, I think that they're very tough and the like I said before, the offense in particular seems to be what folds for the Dolphins against really strong defenses, particularly if they're on the road or supported by their offense at least somewhat, so exercise those demons, prove me wrong, I'm cool, that's, but until you do.
Agreed.
And then this week 17, it's only a loss, week 18 against the Jets in New York. It's only a loss if the Dolphins don't need the game.
Right. We bench everyone. We bench our starters. That's what Alf said.
That's what we were hoping.
I mean, if we don't need the game because of the seeding situation, then I could see it being a loss. But otherwise no. Yeah. So really, the season's seeding could hinge on whether the Dolphins go into Houston and beat the up and coming CJ Stroud and the up and coming Houston Texans team and exercise those road demons and all the storylines
late in the season.
And if they do, then I think that we've built up some strong seeding.
So. We shall see. I think our schedule's a little tough towards the end, but
we don't have nuclear bombs on the schedule this year, or not as many of them. I think that in last year's schedule, the schedule had some some scheduled losses on there. Like these are not just good teams. These are really good teams.
Yeah.
And in really bad, tough circumstances.
Right.
I think we have many of those this year. Yeah. I think they're going to have lost.
We're playing really good defenses on the road.
Well, yeah, and that you're right. That is a challenge. But you're going to have some losses. But is it going to ruin you? I don't know. I don't think so.
Look, Mary, it's not the perfect season. I mean, we never know, but Mary's classroom is 1972 perfect season.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our school theme is like the 70s because our school just turned 70, and I was like, I'm not going to be groovy in this. Yeah. So I adjusted it to my liking.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And your classroom just had the draft?
Oh, yeah. That was so fun.
Did anybody
You
draft the Patriots today?
Oh, and
it's funny because I let them come up. To go ahead.
Wait, they have tomorrow, right? No.
Mary posted the video on TikTok, and like the teams are like reaching out to her to send the kids.
Yeah,
merch.
the Jets just commented it.
The Jets,
really?
And then you had the Lions.
The Lions.
I saw another team.
Panthers.
Comment. Yep.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Panthers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask to adopt her kid from up here so I could like go to Marshall's and have fun, thinking I was gonna be like a hero. And she's like, well, now the Lions.
No, the actual teams are like reaching out, being like, we want to send so and so.
But I have had some people I've had this girl reach out and was like, I'd love to send the kid who drafted the Seahawks some merch, and I'm like, okay,
I would do it.
But it's funny because today I let the 2 kids that were absent on Friday. I lined up the rest of the helmets that weren't here, and the boy was like immediately just like grabbed the Bucks, and the girl was like staring at like 4 helmets, and she was like, I really like this one, but it has a white background, and that means I don't get to color a lot because like I have them design the helmets, and and I was like, well, you could do the retro, like you could do the color, whatever they call it, the color block one or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
We ended up going with the Titans because she really loves Nashville. So
that's cool. And their whole thing is that they're learning about the city and stuff. So that's
cool.
Yeah. So what teams are left over after that?
So nobody picked the Raiders, and nobody picked the Patriots. There was one girl. Nobody got him. Let's see, Browns. That helmet is just not appealing.
It's just
the Browns, like, come on now.
I know, fucking these kids.
No,
they don't know.
I mean, I had a girl that had the Chiefs.
Fuck them
and
kids.
Traded for the Broncos.
What?
Oh,
does she like horses?
Probably.
Does she like horses?
She just like she didn't know. She was just like, eh. And one of the boys was just hounding her. I'm from Kansas City. I don't even know if he is from Kansas City.
No, he's not.
What a hustler.
Because then his dad like commented, I like posted on like Bloom, like on our dojo or whatever, like, oh, they were so excited. And the dad commented, can't believe so-and-so or whatever chose the Chiefs over the mighty Packers. And I'm like, wait a second. He's definitely not from Kansas City.
Yeah.
His dad is
over the mighty Packers.
But their negotiating tactics are hilarious. Because I told them, because like one of my kids who's obsessed with the Bills, I had the brother last year and the dad's from Buffalo, and he drafts the Steelers, and I told him, I was like, you have to have a poker face, because if you go in there like, oh, this team stinks, like nobody's gonna want to trade with you, and immediately he gets the Steelers and he's like standing next to the kid with the Bills, he's like, this team is terrible. And I'm like, dude, like, enough. Like, knock it off. But it's cool. And they're already so excited. I mean, math homework, forget about it. NFL homework, we'll bring it the next day. So we're trying to balance.
Love it so much. Oh,
awesome.
So great.
I'm gonna run across that on TikTok now. I know I am.
Yeah.
You what?
The Steelers aren't even a bad team. The coach has never in the history of everness of coaching has a losing record.
Yeah, but they literally don't have a quarterback, so they're fucked.
They just thought that Kenny Pickett was good. And
they're
true, but
and that's not.
But I mean,
they're literally fucked.
They're built tough, and
honestly,
they legitimately don't have a quarterback at all.
Yeah, it's the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson thing, right? Like, and
Justin Fields is beating Russell Wilson, and I think he should.
Right,
Russell Wilson just needs to go.
If you saw it was terrible.
But there's already reports out there about those guys going at each other and
like fighting. So go work at Subway.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I don't know.
He was a bad Subway worker. Are you kidding me? You saw his ad.
Oh, I thought he was just joking. I thought he was just joking. That was because he did a commercial.
The most awkward ad in the history.
That's even funnier. That's even funnier.
There's no way that you gotta bleep that out. There's no way.
Charles Barkley is the best Subway commercial.
Yeah.
Him and that voice.
I don't remember Charles Barkley.
There ain't no
No,
way.
he's the voice of Subway. $5 footlong. Well, do they do the $5 footlong anymore? They've now got like the footlong desserts.
We don't get $5 footlong anymore.
Yeah, that inflation, that's gone. That's like $15 footlong. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We had so much fun. CK, where can everyone find you if they don't already know? Especially drop your Discord channel.
Especially on Twitter as CK Parrot. But you can go to the Discord. We're discord.gg/onlyfins. And that's our server. We have, about a good 1,000 people just actively talking, making good community in there and everything. So we're really excited about that.
That channel is so much fun, by the way. I'm like, it's my new obsession. I'm on it all the time. I love it. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. Do you have any other closing thoughts? This has been a lot of fun. We had fun with you. We've been drinking.
No, I do want to sincerely thank you for having me on. I had a lot of fun. And I do love your guys' show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the vibes. The vibes are immaculate.
We try to have a good time here, but yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Thank y'all.